fulfilling all your wishes. You could design for yourself what would be the most ecstatic life.
Yeah, guess I gotta get up from the jump.
He's in the building and ready to give you another informative show. I was just reminding Len Capital Certificates that his program from last week carried well on to this week, with patients still carrying on the topic of employee versus employers, what employers look for, what employees should expect, especially when it comes to social media and, you know, how they should carry about themselves in the workplace. So let me say good afternoon to you, Len Capital Certificates. How are you, Len Campbell?
I am great, Aisha Wells, and how are you today?
I am good. Thank you so much for asking.
And thank you for having me here today.
Excellent.
Well, based on that topic, which you mentioned just now, I believe there could be more than one avenue that you could look at. In terms of, as an employer, you may think, just looking at the video, that the employee could be stealing, which is what everybody is saying.
Yeah.
You'd have to be there in the situation, because even when you mentioned it to me just now, my first thought was, maybe I'm attempting to save the company some money. We don't know how true it is. I guess this is why we have investigators would have to do their job. Maybe her staff, her superior staff would have to figure out, you know, has she been reliable all this time? Has money gone missing? Because I believe they have a very intricate camera system in most of these establishments, even ours, to not really catch people in the act, but to prevent things like this from happening.
Yeah.
So, to come...
His microphone?
Yeah.
He's on 2, right? Oh, turn up the on button. Gotcha.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to say now that, or come outrightly and accuse her of stealing, would be... It wouldn't be in an employer's best interest, because it can also damage a young lady's reputation.
Yeah.
So I would suggest, you know, doing a proper and thorough investigation, speaking to her. And then, I mean, if she's never stole before, she's never been caught before, then you'd have to take her word for it.
So true. And of course, we have your ad coming up in about 2 minutes or so. For those now tuning in, not too sure what Len Capital Certificates is, just give them a little preamble before we go over to your ad.
Well, Len Capital Certificates is a business consultation company where we offer consultation services to anyone who's interested in starting a business, or even now in making personal decisions where your finances is concerned. We don't really give advice on personal situations, but we tend to believe that it can tie into your finances. So we can look at the financial aspect of it, how it's going to affect your life long-term and short-term, and would be able to help you in that decision-making process.
Excellent indeed. And your websites and contact information?
Well, our website is the same. It will be lencapital.com. That's Lenn capital.com. You can call us on 324-LEN, which is 324-5366. And on any social media, if you just type in Len Capital, all our handles should come up.
Excellent indeed. So people, we just have 1 minute or so before Len Capital Certificates ad comes on, so we're just waiting on the countdown. Do you want to give them a little precursor to what we're coming back with?
Well, I wanted to talk today about the roles and functions of employees in the workplace, even some of the roles of employers as well, because persons tend to feel their job may not be as important as the boss's job or a supervisor job. They think their job may be in jeopardy. So I just wanted to touch on that a little bit today.
Okay. Thank you so much for staying with us, Trinidad and Tobago. Take it away, Lancer.
Yes, so we often hear employees, I've often heard, because I've been an employee for a number of years, and you hear employees often say or think their job is in jeopardy. They would believe, you know, we're working in this workplace and I have to oust my other employee because maybe my job is not as important as employee X, or I'm not a supervisor. But what I would often use, or like to use the reference today, of if you know anything about an engine, how an engine works, how it operates, even though an engine, let's say the average cost of a nice engine can go for about 40,000 to 45,000, the oil that is used in this engine is not anywhere close in relation to price. So you can buy a nice engine for about $45,000. The average mechanic may charge you about $2,500 to put it in, which would be his role and function. The oil, however, is not even close to the mechanic cost. The oil for said engine may run you anywhere from about $350 to about $500. Now I can tell you, even though you buy an engine with very little miles on it, you have one of the A-class mechanics put it in, does all the wiring properly. Without that oil, the engine is unable to function. You can do a lot of different things. You can pray over the engine if you so desire. You can wish on it. You can download an app. It's still not going to work unless you put the oil in. So you may think in relation to the value that you give, because I'm only at $350, my value is not as important. But I will be actually incorrect. Because if you don't place that oil into the engine, therefore the engine cannot be started, you cannot test run the vehicle cannot work, it cannot go on to power the other components that the car would have, such as the air conditioner, the radio, or even drive to a location without the oil in it. And so it is with you or certain employees in a company. That may be your function, to go in between, go all around, to lubricate, and without that specific function that you do, the company wouldn't be able to operate. And we need to understand that as employees, whatever our role and function is, you need to do it to the best of your ability. If you place oil in the engine and the oil woke up one morning and decided, you know what, I don't want to be the oil, I would like to be an engine. It may sound funny because you'll say the oil can't do that. But as an employee, that's what we tend to do. We wake up and we decide, I don't want to be the oil anymore. I want to be a spark plug, or I want to be an electrical wire, or I want to be the starter for the engine. And if you attempt to do that, then the car cannot work in its proper capacity.
Right.
So it is with you as an employee. You have to do your job to the best. I have often experienced, because I've owned a couple of vehicles, you may think because of advertising X oil is better than Y oil. But X oil's marketing budget is greater. So when they market their oil, you believe the more money that you spend, the better the type of oil. So it is with employees. An employee may market themselves really well, but when it comes down to the actual performance, you could probably oust that employee or get promoted over that person because of the way you would have done the actual job. The oil doesn't come out of the engine and say, well, look, Lenstar, Aisha, or Pastor Google that we have in studio today, here's what's going on with the car. This oil isn't performing the way it's supposed to do. No, the oil knows how it was created. They have the formula. You open it, you place it in the engine. And when you're driving it, Google on his way home to South is going to say, hey, I find this oil operating better than the one I spend X amount of dollars on. And he's now going to recommend this oil to other persons he knows with vehicles.
Gotcha.
And I've often said that word of mouth is one of the best forms of advertisement. So it's the same when you're within a company. Someone is going to see and notice your value. And they're going to now market you in the capacity you're supposed to function in. And you now need to be ready for that, because you don't open an oil bottle and look down inside of it and say, hey, oil, you ready to be oil today? No, you open it with the confidence knowing the right amount of oil is in the bottle. It's properly well proportioned based on the formula. I doubt, in all the years I've been into vehicles and mechanics, I haven't heard anyone that has bought a bottle of oil and go to have it tested. They are certain that when they open that bottle of oil, it's going to work for them, and they're going to pour it in the engine, make sure they have the proper funnel, or we may cut a bottle to have all the oil go into the engine, as it were. We're not going to have it tested. And it's the same thing with us as employees. I'll put myself in there, because even though I'm an employee, I'm also an employee. So we have to understand that we should do our best every time, every day, every opportunity we get to be that which we were designed or designated to be. So when the opportunity arises, we can perform our functions excellently.
It's funny that you say that, because so many times all emphasis is played on the engine and not necessarily the oil.
True.
simple thing as the oil, according to you, is a big, expensive engine.
Mm-hmm.
Just this so-called insignificant oil the engine cannot operate. And it goes both ways, where employers must also look at the value of their employees.
True.
You know, a healthy working relationship with both employee and employers can only do well for your business. Let me say good afternoon to those of you sending messages right now on YouTube and Facebook. Yeah. So go ahead, Len. Go ahead. Get into the conversation.
Yes, so continuing along your topic and your point, the engine also cannot function without the oil, nor can the oil function without the engine. If that space where the engine is supposed to be, there's no engine and you take the oil and you throw it, it's just going to fall to the ground or fall to the inside of the car. And it's the same with the workplace. That you have to understand your boss would need you just as much as you need him. But we may say, well, it's easier to get a different brand of oil, which is true. And sometimes that is the way in which employers may treat their employees. Well, yeah, it's easy to replace you. I'll just go buy a different brand of oil. But even though they're replacing the brand of oil or the oil that's there, they still need oil.
That's right.
So it means that job is very important. And if you would have done your job well, you would have jobs moving forward. You'd have a job as time goes by. And I think that's something that we need to understand. In the workplace, we need to give 100%. Persons will often say, well, my work is not going to die. If I continue to work every day, the work go dead and there's just a job. But we all have goals, we all have aspirations. And if it is we don't aspire and continue working towards our goals, then our job just becomes another mundane task. Where our job's supposed to be something that you enjoy. You have a certain catchphrase that you use, and I would often tell persons, you can tell that someone is great by the way in which they do things, the pride in which they do it. For example, your catchphrase would be, welcome goodly people.
Yeah.
That's one of your phrases that you use that welcomes those listeners there. If you listen to soca music, Marshall has a chant that he uses, a certain, what you'd call that, a song bite that he says. Bungie has one as well.
Yeah.
Most of the greats have some sort of tell about them because they become so comfortable at what they do. And they don't become comfortable when they're great. Most of us would know Marshall Montano from when he started out very young. I myself would only have known, thanks to the invent of YouTube, that I could go back and look at the video when he sang Too Young to Soca. And if you look at him from then till now, you can see
the growth.
Yeah. But he always had that talent and that ability. And most greats would have that. We work on our craft every day. Persons would ask me, what's the key to success? How do you become successful? What does it take? And I would often say to them, success is actions, deliberate actions, done intentionally, continuously, over a period of time. And unless you're working on becoming successful with that dedication, with that purpose, understanding that you would become successful at your task one day, then you'd never make it. If you just want to wake up one morning and say, okay, I'm ready to jump out and be a mechanic as it were, or I want to come on the radio station and just start to talk, and you've never spoken before. Even though my first experience on the radio, I was a bit nervous, but I would have spoken before.
Yeah.
I would have spoken to crowds. So eventually, my natural instinct would take over while I'm doing what I'm accustomed doing. And it's the same thing. You have to understand that working on your goal or your dream requires you to do it every day.
Excellent. Let me say good afternoon to Marva Lewis. Marva says, can you tell her about your Precious Gem packages?
Sure. Our Precious Gems packages are what we would call partnership perquisites, which is basically opportunities provided on behalf of the company that allows persons the opportunity to invest with us. Through these packages, you're able to basically invest your money, and we take it, put it into other businesses that we consult with, as well as we're now owning and operating different businesses, different companies. So when you come in and you make an investment through one of our packages...
She's in Miami.
She's in Miami. Okay,
yeah,
good.
She wants to also know how can she invest from Miami.
Yeah, well, basically it would be, they'll do a money transfer to one of our banks in Trinidad. When she contacts us, we'd give her all the relevant information that she can do the transfer to. We'd also let her know what her interest rate would be on the package that she takes out.
Gotcha.
And all documents would be sent to her immediately via PDF, and then we would have it posted out to her through registered mail, so she'd have it tangible as well.
She said she retired now and always wanted to invest, and she feels confident enough to invest home first,
Yes.
than investing abroad, and she's considering Lend Capital certificates. I know that there were some changes to your interest payouts. You want to tell them about that?
Yes, well, we've moved from the monthly interest payouts to now yearly interest. Our customers, who I would call, would have gotten sweet on receiving money every month, we've now moved it to yearly. A reason being, one of our major reasons, we've gone into business ownership.
Gotcha.
And for most persons who would understand how businesses operate, whereas before we would have gone into a company, let's say we went to Trusted Home Care, we would have gotten a fee every month for the services we would have provided. Now that we're actually owning and operating the business, you would see that we would have to turn over a profit over a period of time. And anyone who understands how a business operates, you don't generally make a profit on a business the first day it opens.
So
You're going to be spending a lot more before you start seeing some sort of returns on that money. So basically what we've done is created a more long-term or longevity with our investment options, as opposed to, just enjoying it now and things are nice, and then again another pandemic, economy falls, our businesses would not be able to stand the test of time if we don't go in and build these companies from the ground up. Or if they've already been built, do some restructuring, do some remodeling, and make these companies, move them from good companies to great companies.
Excellent indeed. And of course, contact number again, slowly, and website.
Our number is 324-LENN. That would be 324-5366. Our website is lenncapital.com. That would be lencapital.com.
Excellent indeed. So go ahead.
Yes. So, continuing along the lines of understanding, your role and function, working on success, it's something that you must do. It's not always going to be easy. There would be challenges. You'd hear persons say, it's become too hard, it's become too difficult to be successful, I just want to give up. And your success or your drive towards success should be based on what you believe in, what your faith has taught you, what your own personal ideology of success is. I should not look at Aisha Wells and feel I want to be Aisha Wells, unless my goal is to be the Queen of Talk. If my goal is to be Queen of Talk, then I would take some examples from you, the things that you would do in order, or would have done, to become Miss Aisha Wells. If my goal is not to be the Queen of Talk, then I need to figure out or look at persons in that field, in that industry, see what they would have done, learn from their mistakes. I would tell persons, look at their mistakes first, and then look at their successes after. Because when you listen to any successful person, I'm sure if I sit down with you and I ask you some of the mistakes you made, you would give me, probably talk for days about the mistakes. And if I said, okay, what about this success? You might say to me, I'm not really sure, because I got one win and I went out and I got another and I got another and another. So how did you get from 1 win to 10 wins? I'm not really sure. But if I ask you, what did you do when you failed? You say, well, you use that phrase, well, boy, and you'd go on and you'd give me the story of how it happened, what took place, what changes you'd have had to make, what mental state you were in, and from that I'm able to analyze the situation and make better decisions. So we need to look at persons within the similar industries that we're hoping to get into and learn from them. Learn from them every day. We often think that learning has to be 8 hours, 10 hours a day. I would say just start with 5 minutes. When I first started learning different things through looking at YouTube, it was very difficult for me to sit down hours at a time and learn. I'll be quite honest. The maximum maximum amount of time I could have viewed any one particular video was 3 to 5 minutes. Now I can sit down and listen to 8-hour programs without batting an eyelash, because over a period of time and wanting to get deeper into it, the 3 minutes doesn't seem to be enough, 5 minutes doesn't seem to be enough. Then you go on to an hour, it's not enough information. I want to hear somebody talk about it wholly. And when you are in your passion, you're in your dream, you get a certain sense of euphoria, learning and gaining knowledge and seeing things from their perspective and their point of view.
Excellent indeed. We just have a few more minutes left of today's program. How would you want us to end it?
Well, I would like to talk about, as I said, success. We talk about investing, and we talk about what Lend Capital Certificates does. Anyone who's thinking about investing should always understand, one, their risk factor, meaning how much money are they willing to lose. They should understand that all investments, whether it be at Lend Capital, whether it be in life, there would be the possibility that you may lose. And I would often say to anyone who's thinking about investing, you need to know the track record or the history of this company. People would often ask me, what would happen if the economy fails, if the country went to war? What do you have in place? And it's the same thing with when you're investing money anywhere. You need to invest your money with a business or a company that has a plan.
Gotcha.
They have what we would call an Armageddon plan. Worst case scenario, what are we going to do? Do they know how to make money? Are they adaptable when it comes to the industry and the world of technology? Because with technology, a change that may have taken years to make can now be made practically overnight. One minute we're doing things, only hearing Aisha on the radio. The other day we now have the ability to look at you while you're at the radio station. And who knows how further the interaction or the interactivity
the technology would take us.
Would take us. The limit. Exactly. So you need to understand these things when you're investing with a company or taking your money and putting it somewhere. Get to know what they're about. Do they have a plan? There are very few companies that come along, but they do come along ever so often. And it may sound biased because I am one of the founders of Lend Capital Certificates, but I believe we are that company that comes along where persons are going to say, I remember 2-3 years ago when this guy was on the radio, and now this company is... It's
this and that, and
right.
Look where they got,
And they want to get in, and now it's like, oh, sorry,
we no longer accepting.
We're no longer accepting, exactly. So, you need to, give us a phone call. And even though we're not telling you to directly come and just give us your money, we're going to help point you in the right direction.
Gotcha.
And understand that also when you invest, anyone who offers you invest $1 million today morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the night, I'll give you $1 million back, I can guarantee you that's not going to work.
Yeah.
Because I would say to persons, if I could have done it that way, there'll be no need.
I wouldn't need for your $1 million.
No, I wouldn't need $1 million. So get with a company with a plan. Hence the reason we change from the monthly to the yearly. So we can start to condition persons to understand that these are how investment works.
Yeah.
You want to make more money, I'll say to anyone listening, invest for longer periods. Look for investments like ours that go yearly, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the road. So you put that money down, and while that money is there working for you, you continue to work. And when you look up, it's going to be 5 years, and you say, wait, I remember I invested $1 million 5 years ago. Let me see what this $1 million has done. Yeah. And then you keep going and you keep going from there. And that is how I would tell persons, once you're thinking about investments, you look for companies like ours who are on that path to doing great things.
Excellent. They want to know the office on operational hours.
The office is...
Can they reach you?
Sure. The office is 9 to 11 Fitch Street South in Woodbrook, which is not too far from here. The hours of operation are 9:30 to 3:30. You can also call that number again, which is 324-5366. If you do call and no one answers for whatever reason, please leave a message, or you can send a text or WhatsApp, and I'm sure somebody's going to get back to you as soon as possible and give you any information you may require.
Excellent. And there's no walk-ins, guys. Because of the nature of the business, you have to bust a bump to make an appointment.
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct.
So anything you wanted to add as we get ready to shut the curtains down?
Well, continue to work hard. I admonish person, not only working hard, but work smart. save your money, look for good opportunities to invest. You will see them. You will know when something feels right. If you think an investment may not work, invest a little smaller. So even if you lose, you understand, you learn. Don't think that you're always going to win. There's no company, no business person, no millionaire, no billionaire like us that will tell you, yeah, we've always won.
Yeah.
That's
not how it goes.
The greats always lose, and they learn from losing. So that we need to get away from this. I want to make money. I only want to gain. I only want to gain. There would be sometimes you may have to learn. You may lose some time.
That's right.
With our customers, that was the thing. Okay, you have to lose some time instead of getting every month. You're going to get it in 12 months. But you're still going to gain. So that loss in terms of time is going to work out for you in the long run. So continue to work hard, keep your head down, focus, don't lose sight of your goals, and I'm sure that you'll make it.
And you want to give them a little, hint as to what direction we're going in next week, or are we just going to go with the flow?
Well, that's how it's worked for us so far, unless you have a particular topic, or maybe one of the listeners has a topic they would like us to touch on.
Yeah, feel free to reach out to Len and tell him if there is something you would like him to narrow in on the next show. Get interactive.
Yeah.
That I better watch what I say, watch what I do. Remember to pray, watch how I move. I got too much at stake, so I cannot lose. In this game that we play, I got something to prove. And I had for the love of